Alrighty, welcome to episode 189 of Tokwa's Ask Us Anything. As usual, it's been a pretty busy news week. Tesla has released mixed results for Q2 2024. It has reported $1.6 billion of GAAP operating income, $1.5 billion of GAAP net income, and $1.8 billion of non-GAAP net income. Operating cash flow of $3.6 billion, free cash flow of $1.3 billion, and a $3.9 billion increase in its cash and investment holdings to $30.7 billion. The WA state and federal governments have committed funding to build an additional 4.4 gigawatt hours of battery storage. The first tender, comprising 2 gigawatt hours, opened last Monday, and the remaining 2.4 gigawatt hours of storage capacity will be tendered in due course. Tesla is well placed, along with other suppliers, to fulfill those tenders, with production at its Shanghai megafactory expected to come online next year. And that was this week's news. Indeed it was, and welcome everyone to another episode of Ask Us Anything. As is customary, if there is anyone who is new and is comfortable in doing so, please unmute and say hello.
I'm Peter Johnston, and I'm actually in Brisbane.
Welcome, Peter, all the
So
way from the future
I'm not new to the
Brisbane.
club, or new to Teslas, but I've got a few questions, and I thought I might just log in tonight. I may not stay up right till the end, but I figured it'd be way past my bedtime.
Yes, indeed. We run for 2 hours, so that would be midnight for you. So
Yes.
actually what we'll do is we'll get, and once again, welcome, we will get your questions in nice and early
That's good of you.
after we've done a couple of other intros.
Yeah,
So
sure.
yeah, welcome again. Oh, actually, sorry, tell us about your car. Which Tesla have you got?
I've got a 2017 75D Model S.
Oh, yes, my wife had one of those. Very
And
good.
I've got my wife's got a Model Y long range, about a year old.
Fantastic. I dare say your wife's probably got a better deal in hindsight, but look, the old cars are still classics, and they are great.
Yeah, I watched one of the previous programs, and I heard your comment saying a disparaging comment about the S compared with the Y. And I don't agree, but anyway, we could
Well, that's
have the.
cool. Yeah, absolutely. Look, my wife's had actually, it's not a 70, it wasn't a 75D, it was a 75 rear wheel drive, so
Yeah,
single motor. And in fact, it was actually worse than that. It was a 60. It was a software limited
right.
75,
Yeah,
which I very quickly uncorked. Although in hindsight, I probably shouldn't have bothered. But anyway, that's another story. And I've had a Model X.
yeah.
So yeah, I'm certainly used to the portrait screens, the bathtub ring, the slow MCUs, and all
Well,
that
mine,
stuff.
I've got hardware 3 in mine, so it's all updated. So it's
Fantastic.
same software as the Y.
Yeah, cool. Awesome. All right. Well, we'll get to your
Okay,
questions
cool.
shortly. Um, is there anyone else who is new and is comfortable in unmuting and saying hello? Perhaps later. Alrighty. Now, obviously, we've got tons of other news around revelations at the Q2 earnings call, which we'll sort of incrementally go through. But I think, Peter, since you've come to us from the future, please go ahead with some of your questions, and we'll knock them on the head.
Well, I don't want to dominate the session, but first question is, with the Y's got basic autopilot, I've got FSD, quote unquote, on the S. We've just been up to Carnarvon Gorges, about 700 kilometres away from Brisbane, northwest, and both of them reacted the same way to speed signs. Occasionally, they'd reduce speed automatically. Other times, they wouldn't. The last 2 days, I've been to Sydney and back, and on the Pacific Highway, it never automatically dropped the speed limit.
Yes. Yes. Okay. So the reason for that is, and to be honest, it's quite a frustrating trait. Ironically, in what the car has somehow determined, and it's probably a mapping thing or a definitional thing. If you are driving or traversing through what it considers to be a major center, so that's either a capital city or a large town or a small city, its policy is you can set the speed limit, you can set the set speed for the car on autopilot to anything you like. Like
Yeah.
you can go well over 10 kilometers an hour over the speed limit, but it will not automatically reduce its set speed while on tack or autopilot in those built up areas, even though the cameras can optically see a new sign that has the reduced limit. In fact, the reduced limit is shown on the screen, but your set speed doesn't change. The opposite is the
But even on the
case
open road, it wasn't doing it.
precisely.
And even though I had it's set to speed limit absolute,
Yes. So
with no offset.
I dare say on the eastern seaboard, it's probably got definitions up and down the seaboard that just says all of this is a major
Yeah.
infrastructure and it refuses to change the speed
Okay.
limit automatically. Sorry, speed limit down automatically.
Yeah.
It will
Yeah.
never change it up automatically
Yeah. Yeah.
if
Yeah.
you've
Understand
just
that.
commenced autopilot.
Yeah.
But if it goes down automatically and you haven't disengaged or re-engaged, it will then also magically increase speed automatically. So what happens is when you're in a bona fide, what it believes to be a rural area, let's call it
Yeah.
that,
Okay.
it
That
will then
explains it.
absolutely, yeah, then it absolutely slows down and speeds
Yep.
up. But
Yep.
frustratingly, it then also refuses to go faster than 10 kilometers per hour above the speed limit,
Yeah.
which can be frustrating if for whatever reason, and it does happen from time to time,
Yeah.
that the car misinterprets a speed sign
Yeah.
or there's a construction zone and it has a slower speed limit going into it, but the workers don't bother to put the reset speed limit at the end of it, or they'll just say end of roadworks and everyone knows that means
Yeah.
they're
Yeah.
back.
Yeah. That is frustrating.
That
Yeah.
can be quite frustrating.
Yeah.
And like I said, it's the opposite behavior. You could sort of say, maybe in the city you shouldn't go more than 10 k's an hour over the speed limit ever, and in the country, well, whatever. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's opposite sort of thing. So yeah, unfortunately,
Yeah.
that's just a trait. But yeah,
Second question: on the Model Y, I've got on Connie's Model Y, I've got white interior,
yes,
and which I love. Even with the dogs, it's fine. I got window tinting, so I'm getting full internal reflection of the white dash across the wing mirrors. So my
yep.
question is, if anyone's got a Model Y without window tinting, do they get that? Because I'll take the tinting off the front windows.
Ooh, I've actually, my car and my wife's car both have front tinting, and in her case, it's a real problem because she has to reverse and keep a brick wall to the right in check,
Yeah,
and she often has to wind down the window so she can see properly when reversing, so
yeah.
she can see the wing mirror when reversing. It's
She's
quite a
got white
frustration.
interior as well.
Yes, yes, absolutely, yes, yep.
I
So
mean, when I drove back from, and I don't drive the car very often, the Y. I'm driving back from Sydney. I noticed that the ambient lighting, I could see my feet um, in the driver's window. So I turned off the ambient lighting,
oh yes, yep,
and that's at night. So my
yeah.
solution was to take the tinting off.
Look, before you do that, I would recommend, if you know anyone local that's got a Y without tint, to
I've been
just have
looking
a
for them.
look,
Yeah,
because really glass is just as reflective as the tint. I mean, to a
yeah,
degree. So you might find that actually taking the tint off isn't going to make a massive difference, and then you might then regret it because you'll then want to put it back on and have to pay for it and whatever.
yeah,
So my
yeah.
recommendation is definitely check out a local car just to check. Of course, you'll have to do this preferably in the evening or early morning, or when
Oh
it's
no,
dark,
well when it's sunny, yeah, doesn't matter.
or when it's sunny. I guess, yeah, absolutely, you could do that
Yeah,
too. Uh, I've heard people, the old talking Tesla people, the guys, Mal, oh, I forget their names now. Anyway, Tom and whoever, um, they had actually bemoaned the all white interior and said, in California, which is similar to Australia, they hate it and they actually put wraps or contact or whatever on it
Yeah, yeah,
to tone
I've
it
seen
down.
that. And I was
Yeah,
thinking that the Highland, the new three, with it sort of it's a
dark
brush,
grey. Yes, like
and
a
that might be a
felty
solution.
stuff.
Yeah,
Yes, something I've actually done for one of my kids who's getting a Model Y, and he just doesn't happen to like the wood grain interior, the wood grain panel.
yeah,
I've just gone to, I just Googled it to be honest. I can't remember whether it was Timu or something like that,
yeah,
and you can get sort of like clip-on
yeah. Bromo
applicators.
sell them as well.
Yeah, that's right. So your wife might like to do something like that perhaps. Although and I mean, there's one that's like a matte carbon fiber look,
Yeah, that's right.
and so you wouldn't want something glossy necessarily because that might be counterproductive,
Yeah,
but something perhaps matte and a darker color, yeah, might do the trick.
yeah. Okay.
Oh, anything else while
No,
we're running late?
final question, and I'm sorry to take up
No,
so much
to
time,
totally cool,
but I was
Peter, because this is what it's
encouraged by
for.
the email which said there are no questions too trivial. So,
Absolutely.
um, as I said, I don't drive the Y very much. I was a bit disappointed with um, the harshness of the rear suspension. It's a long range,
Yep.
and I thought there are some aftermarket comfort packs. Has anyone tried those, or are there other solutions?
I haven't. Is there anyone in the room that might have tried something, gone down that road?
Or am I just too picky about uh, the uh, the rear suspension?
To, to be honest,
Perhaps
Yeah,
the rear suspension needs to be a little bit stiffer for the towing.
Yeah, which I don't do, but
yes.
yeah,
Um,
I find it pretty harsh as well. And yeah, I've looked at the various solutions, and like you, Peter, I'm still not clear on what the cost benefit is.
yeah, I'd
yeah.
like to try one that's been modified before I spend even $1,400 on the rear.
So Peter,
Indeed,
is
indeed.
sorry, Paul. You go, Paul.
No, I'm just agreeing. Really,
Yep.
I think the first step for me is going to be renewing the tyres and going for something that's a little bit, hopefully will, deliver some, albeit it probably be slight, but some improvement in that regard, and then see where we go from there.
Something you can
Just
try.
on
There's
that,
a couple
just
of
on that
things.
point.
T-
Sorry.
2 seconds. So two seconds, Pete. You said your wife's car was about a year old. Is that right?
Yeah,
Because I think Tesla came out with a revision of the rear suspension for the all-wheel drive car Model Ys less than a year ago. I thought I could be
right,
wrong. They had different part numbers for the gas struts, so I think they've changed the damping nature of it.
right, right. I'll
Um,
check with my friends at the service centre. So,
yeah. So the only problem is I don't think. I mean, that would be quite an expensive solution to actually get them changed because as Tesla parts, they would be expensive. For example, what pressure do you run your tires at? Do you run it at the 42
at
factory?
42.
Okay, yeah, okay,
Yeah.
yep,
I'm running mine a bit softer, and it's better.
yeah. Look, I mean,
Okay.
Tesla doesn't have a reputation in the threes and the Ys as being a silky smooth ride. There's a compromise. Unlike, for
Although
example,
I drove the new three a couple of weeks ago, and I thought they were just fabulous.
yes, well, that's actually got the new variable rate dampers. So they've
Yeah,
actually got a differential rate from, I don't know what you call it when it squeezes to relieves,
yeah,
whatever that's called, the up down bit. So yeah, that's awesome. But that's unfortunately something that the old Ys just don't have.
Mm.
Yeah. Um, I mean, Peter, is your S, does it have air suspension?
yes, it does.
Yeah, and I mean the S's and the X's with air suspension are just lovely to drive
Yeah.
in. You know, they
Yeah.
really are great. But,
Just one comment. I changed. We got new tires on the S 2 or 3 months ago, and changed to Hankook, their new EV tire. They've just brought out, and it is just a cut above the Pirellis I've had in the past. It's
that
just
would be the Ion
so smooth
EV.
and quiet.
Yeah, the Ion EVO, I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah.
And they've got a 70,000 kilometer limited warranty on the tire.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Which,
Tell me,
although,
Peter.
you go, Paul.
I was just interested. How did the tire installers or fitters deal with the pressure sensors in the tires?
I don't know.
Yeah. I haven't seen anything on it. You know.
They just changed the tires, and there was no issue with the sensors. They just worked and never asked the question.
Yeah, I don't know how they work, so it's a bit of a mystery to me.
Paul, they're attached to the rims, so basically the valve stem. So in fact, the TPMS, the tire pressure monitoring system, it's basically, well, there's a part that's inside the rim, and then there's basically the valve stem, which then gets bolted, there's a nut that holds it into the rim.
Okay.
There. So
that makes
it
sense.
doesn't interfere with the tire at all. It's only when you change rims if you change rims, you either buy new sensors or you take the sensors off the old rims and put them onto the new rims. But the sensor is independent of what tire you have. It's immaterial.
Oh, good to know. Yeah, I wondered about that. Oh, okay.
Alrighty. Peter, have you got a quartet for us? You got a fourth question, perhaps?
That's it.
Okay, cool. All right, no
Thank
worries.
you very much for the input.
Absolute pleasure. And yeah, please join us as rarely or as often as you like. It's
Yeah,
everyone's
thank you.
welcome. And they're literally,
Thank you.
as the email says, there is no such thing as a stupid question or a ignorant question, because we were all at some time in the past ignorant of Tesla.
Yeah.
And yes, now we are becoming experts, but even some of the longest owned Tesla owners, or longest, whatever, tenured Tesla owners, learn new things in this show.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
it's just one of those things that happens. We're always learning.
That's good.
Alrighty. Has anyone else got a question or maybe a comment before I run through some more of the very interesting news items that we've just had in the last 24 hours? No? Okay, you're going to make me do some reading. Awesome.
Yeah, we're waiting with bated breath, Harold.
Okay, so obviously, I mean, and there's a lot to go through. I was going to put it in the news, but to be honest, I was just too lazy to do it. But anyway, obviously, Elon Musk has confirmed that there will be new and affordable vehicles to start production in the first half of 2025. So that's really significant news, and that will increase production to about 3 million vehicles without any new production lines. So Tesla won't be investing, or won't need to invest, a significant amount of capital into building new lines. Basically, it will be utilizing the existing lines. Now, obviously, when they say new, new and affordable vehicles, the new vehicle is a robotaxi. Affordable could be a variant of the robotaxi, but also I'm sure they'll be talking about the cheaper to build and slightly improved, let's call it the Juniper or refreshed Model Y, which will come to Australia probably early-ish next year. And I think Elon Musk was actually sort of talking about they don't really want to talk about any of the new cars because there'll be an Osborne effect, obviously. So that's obviously a really significant piece of news, where Tesla's installed production abilities capacity is roughly a bit over 2 million. Well, they'll be able to take it by next year, let's call it end of next year, to 3 million without any significant capital investments, which is a great achievement. presuming Tesla delivers. Then we've got, let's have a look. The Cybertruck production line is expected to become profitable by the end of this year. So that's a great achievement, because I think it was only just about a year ago that Tesla built its first Cybertruck off the Austin, Texas line. So that's going to be some good news for Tesla, in that Cybertruck will basically become profitable, which is a great thing. Then we've got, and if anyone's got any questions or comments, please do just jump in. But if no one has, we've also got that the Robotaxi unveil has been pushed to the 10th of October, so the 10th of the 10th, or near offer, I dare say. I think Elon Musk's main reason was there was some revision to do with the front of the Robotaxi, and he then very interestingly said the unveil will feature Robotaxi and a couple of other things. So that means it's not just one other thing, a couple means two. So there'll be 3 different products, or perhaps variants, announced, possibly on the 10th of October. So again, that's going to be pretty exciting. And like I said just a few moments ago, at least one or some or all of those variants will be in production in the first half of next year. So that's in less than a year's time, which is pretty exciting. Oh, sorry, say that again. Oh, okay. And then we've got Optimus production to start next year, with Tesla aiming to produce several thousand for their own usage by the end of the year. Which, and several thousand is several thousand, and they'll be using them internally in their factories. And Elon Musk has already said, or the press release has already stated, that they are using Optimus, and I think there was a photo of it, basically moving 4680 cells off a minor conveyor belt, or whatever you want to call it, a hopper or something, into storage cases, and it's doing it autonomously. So that's again a pretty good achievement. And the great thing about Optimus 2 is that in 2026, Elon Musk expects for Tesla to be mass producing Optimus, the second version of Optimus, for external customer purchases. So
Hey Harold,
again,
have they said what batteries Optimus runs on, and like what the range is in that at all?
no, I mean the range, as in, I mean, it might, well, I don't know how far it can walk, but I guess it's really more to do with what it can do and how long. Obviously, something that Optimus can do on a factory line, if they wanted it to, if it's sort of basically stationary or not moving around much, is just have a tether. So you could have a tether mounted wherever convenient, and it could just be tethered to a power supply. But I imagine, I can't, look, there was during AI Day, I think it was AI Day, oh no, it was the Optimus reveal, sorry. I think they mentioned it had a 1 or 2 kilowatt hour battery, but Damo, I guess in a sense, really, a bit like what Rolls-Royce says, the performance of it will be adequate, and it goes without saying that it would probably be able to rapidly charge, or depending on where it is and what it's doing, it could probably just charge while it's working or doing its tasks.
It's
So in
about an
that case,
induction plate for it to stand on. Induction through the feet, not tethered at all.
yes,
I mean,
yes,
when
you
it's
could.
finished, it goes back to its station, charges there, and then goes off and does something else.
Actually, Steve, that's a very good point. You could have induction, because I was thinking you could actually even have polarized, like left foot, right foot, and then it just stands on like a, you know, conductive plate. But yeah, induction, I mean, yeah, you could probably put that in the balls of the feet or something like that. And again, it doesn't have to necessarily uh, fully keep up with its depletion. If it could keep up with 3/4 of it or half of it, it would double its effective endurance. So I dare say there would be plenty of methods to charge it, and one of those simplest might be just continuous tether or tether while it's convenient or something like that. So it's got to check my screen. That's all good. Now, also mentioned in the earnings call was that Tesla is going to double down on Dojo, and that's basically due to the high clearing market on the NVIDIA GPUs. So obviously, NVIDIA's going gangbusters. Everyone wants their H100 chips and whatever next generation they're going to get. And NVIDIA aren't silly. They're not going to keep a fixed price. They will offer a price that the market clears at. And Elon Musk indicated that that price now is very high. Oh, by the way, he also mentioned I think it was 1 or 2 days ago, that XAI commissioned 100,000 NVIDIA H100 chips in 19 days. And that has become the world's largest GPU cluster ever. And it's literally unheard of that you can commission something like that in 19 days and have it actually working as a unified data center. So, but basically, Musk has said they need to double down on Dojo. They need to make it work. They need to make it work, and they will make it work out of necessity because of the current market conditions for NVIDIA GPUs. Next piece is that Giga Mexico is, if it's not dead, it's officially on hold until the upcoming US presidential election, and that's basically because of the uncertain political nature of what's going to happen, depending on who gets elected. And if one of the parties gets elected, it will probably be situation normal, and Tesla will proceed. If another party gets elected or president gets elected, basically it sounds like Giga Mexico will just be unviable to use, because the intention was that Tesla would make cars in Mexico and have them free traded into the US, and of course there are likely to be very stiff tariffs put on those cars, which means Giga Mexico will probably be shelved. So anyway, that's an official thing in the earnings call, that the Giga Mexico plans are shelved until at least the end of the election.
Haven't they
Yeah.
already broken ground there?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, but they haven't. They broke the ground, but didn't fill it with anything useful. So
Oh, righto.
it's and it's quite prudent. It would be futile to build a plant with its largest customer being intended to be the US, given that there is actually a NAFTA. It's the North. I don't know what the acronym means.
North
It's a
American
trade
Free
agreement.
Trade Association.
That'll do. Thanks, Steve. And that's basically Canada, the United States, and Mexico. Free trade amongst, let's call it the entirety of North America as the continent. But it's been stated by some political parties that when they get in, they will. I think it was introduced something like a 200% tariff on any Mexican. I think it was more to do with if the Chinese companies came in to Mexico thinking they could sort of get cars in via Mexico by building them there, any car made there for that purpose would have a 200% tariff, which basically blows it out of the water. Speaking of tariffs, interestingly, they also announced that Giga Berlin had commenced producing right-hand drive Model Ys and had already exported them or produced them for sale in the UK, which is sort of interesting. Now, something that came about, I think it was just today, I saw it on X/Twitter, and it was sort of mentioned as a question in the earnings call, was whether Tesla would be interested in investing in XAI. And actually, it's all but certain because Elon Musk put up a poll on X asking whether people thought that Tesla should invest $5 billion into XAI. And I think when I voted, it was something like 72% were in favour. So that's all but a certainty, which then kind of brings Tesla into the brings Tesla's skin into the game with XAI. And that's probably like a mutually beneficial arrangement. Elon Musk actually did explain that he tried to employ these artificial intelligence experts into Tesla, but they literally refused. They said they insisted that they only wanted to participate in a startup, and that if it wasn't a startup, they wouldn't be going. So, and then there was no one else that would start it up. So then Elon Musk decided to start XAI. But clearly, if Tesla invests, then they'll get skin in the game, which is a win-win. And I think that's about all the news that I've sort of the extended news that I've got at the moment. So, and Elon Musk mentioned things like, price sensitive things. He said that when Robotaxi comes out, and he did explain, he thought that it was possible. The question was posed: when would the first Robotaxi ride be held? And then that was interpreted as, well, really the first time that happens is when FSD unsupervised gets regulatory approval. And Elon Musk basically indicated that, in his opinion, it's possible for it to get approval by the end of this year, but that he would be shocked if it took any longer than by the end of next year to get regulatory approval. I guess presumably in the United States or some other major place such as China, where the Chinese death rate in vehicles is rather high per capita. So he then went on to say that according to Kathy Wood at ARK Invest, that would value Tesla at a $5 trillion company. And he then went on to say, but of course, all of this is just noise, especially things like model variants and energy. He noted the energy business is going gangbusters. He actually said, I think Lathrop is capable of producing 40 gigawatt hours of battery storage per annum. The Shanghai factory is due to produce another 40 gigawatt hours, but he actually said they may end up tripling their current capacity, and that there's almost unlimited, demand. But he said all of that is noise compared to Optimus, because even at the $5 trillion share valuation, he would then expect that Tesla's valuation with Optimus would increase by several times. So obviously, if you're a long-term Tesla investor, that's music to everyone's ears, but it's still, speculation until it actually happens.
Harold, if I could interrupt,
Absolutely.
the market's not buying it at the moment, and pre-market it's down to 226, so it's dropped to another $20. So you've got to take a long-term view.
Yes, and actually he did concede, because a question was asked, if Donald Trump gets in, Donald Trump has stated on day one he would, in his words, remove the EV mandate. Now, there is no actual EV mandate, but there are efficiency or fuel efficiency standards, CO2 emission standards. So that would certainly be gone. And it's probably likely that if Donald Trump got in, that he would then remove the $7,500 US dollar EV tax credit, which in the short term would suppress all EV sales. But as Elon Musk has said several times, and he did say in the earnings call, he conceded it would be a short-term dampener on Tesla's sales. But he said, much more importantly, that it would devastate almost all of the other opposition car manufacturers. So in the long term, Tesla actually gains because more traditional car manufacturers will go broke quicker, and Tesla will be there to take up the slack and produce more and more cars with much less competition. So I dare say, Peter, that the market is reacting to the short-term issue, and sell on that basis. Even though really, if you hold the share today and you intend to hold it for several years, as Elon Musk said, anything at the moment is just noise compared to the larger picture.
Yeah.
And maybe they're also, the market might be sad about Giga Mexico being on hold and a few other minor things. And the fact that I think, if I recall correctly, the regulatory credits, Tesla's regulatory credits went through the moon. I think it was something of the order of $800 million, which, if you back that out of the automotive gross margin, meant that Tesla had one of the worst automotive margins for quite a few, well, for many quarters. But of course, that's probably greatly due to the effect of Cybertruck, which Tesla then explained is expected to be profitable by the end of the year. So that would be a big dampener as well on automotive gross margins. But again, the energy business is going gangbusters. And we just heard today in the news that, in WA, there's a tender out for another 2 gigawatt hours, bearing in mind the big battery in Collie being built by Synergy is about 2 gigawatt hours. The big battery in Collie being built by Neoen is also 2 gigawatt hours. And now we have a new tender for another 2 and another 2.4 down the road. So we're going to have pretty quickly in excess of 8 gigawatt hours of storage. And we know that a sizable portion, perhaps half of that, will be Tesla Megapacks. So again, the energy storage business is going gangbusters, growing much faster than the car business, and is much more profitable. So, and they're talking about, I think the current production is the equivalent, the profit in that is the equivalent of selling 1 million cars. So, but of course the market takes a short-term view and trades on short-term sentiment rather than long-term, achievements.
Yep. They still rate Tesla as a car company, which is the basic failing of the analysis.
Precisely, because it'll soon be a robo-taxi company, at which I think Elon Musk has described it several times as the greatest single asset value appreciation in history. But that will be dwarfed when Optimus gets going.
Yeah,
and again, Tesla it's a little bit like an Apple thing. People misjudge it. Apple was a computer company, then it was a phone company, and really its money's got very little to do with phones and computers. It's the services, it's the iTunes, it's the App Store. It's leveraging money on stuff that you don't even have to build it to make the money. You're just making software returns, and often on other people's work, in the case of Apple, with developers, etc. But Tesla really is not a car company. Yeah, we don't even know what to call it. It's just going to be it's just going to be a massive, diversified, vertically integrated AI company, really. And, it's something that no one understands. And therein lies the opportunity in the long term. Alrighty. Has anyone else got any questions or comments?
Views expressed in the previous segment.
Oh, yes. Yes, of course. So I better do just the retro one, not Pete's one, but let's just do this.
The previous comments were general in nature and shouldn't be taken as personal professional advice. Listeners should seek their own independent assessment from a qualified advisor and not rely on the general nature of information in this program.
And of course, Elon Musk actually said, you know, if you believe Tesla to be just a car company, you should not be holding Tesla shares.
Yeah, that's
But
right.
if you accept that it's actually an AI company, then you ought to hold Tesla shares. I think he actually said buy, but
Yeah,
um, yeah, you know,
that's right.
it is what it is. Oh, now another piece of news. It's more as a PSA for anyone using the WAV network in the off-grid sites. So they're the ones that have such as the Manila turn-off to Exmouth, where you can see solar panels surrounded by a fence, and there's a battery storage device and a secondary backup generator. One little bit of information that we came across was that just be mindful if there are two cars at the tritium charger, you'll get half of approximately 50 kilowatts, or it's a bit less than that, it's about 48 kilowatts, so it'll be spread equally between the two cars. But if a third car turns up and plugs into the, let's call it 22 kilowatt charge mate, the type 2 AC outlet, power will be shared such that the entire site consumes no more than about 50 kilowatts. So you could get the situation where there are three cars, one's getting 11 kilowatts on the AC, then the tritium will be given basically about 37 kilowatts to spread amongst the other two cars. So if there is a bit of congestion and you've got three cars on site, you'll all be sharing the maximum of about 50 kilowatts. So just be mindful of that. Don't be concerned that there's something wrong with the site if that's what happens to you and there are three cars connected. That's just a design constraint on the standalone power supply, and the design constraint was really based around the cost. So, you know, larger generators and inverters and battery systems are significantly more expensive. And unfortunately, the West Australian government, in its wisdom, only ever allocated a ridiculously small amount of $25 million to deliver 49 sites. So, you know, they've done very well with the constraints they've got. Alrighty. Any questions? There's got to be some out there, or comments, or opinions. Or we could wrap up this show really, really soon. Which I'll be happy to do, to slice up some limes and drink some beer.
Reference for
Oh,
Corona right here.
yeah. Yes, and I have got that T-shirt from a few years ago, probably a bit inappropriate, that said, "I can have Corona and drink it too," or something like that. Um, yes,
Yeah,
anyone?
but you can't really describe it as beer. Hey, yeah, the bad news, by
It's
the way,
not.
on Manila is that the RTM is offline at the moment.
Oh, sorry, yes, and I should have said that too. My apologies. Good news is Dan Healy is in Perth, because I saw him yesterday, and he is finding his way on a tortured route to Manila to basically commission it fully and put it on ChargeFox. So yeah, unfortunately it was turned off, but it's going to be re-energized
Yeah.
in the next day or so.
Is he dropping past Northampton on the way?
It's not his site. It's
Yeah, I know.
he's
So
he's
anyway, yeah.
he's Horizon Power and not Synergy, even though it is
Yes.
WAV network.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Keep the comments to a minimum on that one, perhaps.
yes, yeah, absolutely. Oh, James, you've got your hand up. Thank God for that. Oh,
And
you're
you're
muted.
muted.
Very specific towing style question, so a small margin, but everybody might be able to help. Anybody put tow mirrors on their Tesla? Towing mirrors?
Oh,
No.
nope.
Nope.
I'm going to
Anyone know
admit,
if? Yep. I don't want to do it either. I do have a set, but
Yep.
is there any power available that you can tap into around the rear vision mirror to put one of those LCD screens from a camera. Has anyone found power up there? I don't want to have to run it right around the whole car.
I know there's power. Well, for example, there's certainly
Yeah.
power on the driver's side for the brake controller. So there's actually a plug or a socket,
Yep.
sorry, there's a socket that you connect the brake controller tails. So there are 4 wires for any standard brake controller. So it's obviously got 0 volts, let's call it 12 volts, but it's really 15. And your brake light and your output for your trailer brake controller, well, for your trailer brakes. And so there's power there. And that's in the footwell next to your accelerator.
Yeah, I was looking for more something. I want to put one of those LCD screens that clips on top of your rear vision mirror, so it can wirelessly play a camera from the back.
Oh,
But I just want to get
Yeah.
power up to there.
yeah, right.
How does the Tesla take about in an old-fashioned car? I'll just cut a live wire and tee it. I don't want to do that.
No. Look, the way people have done it before. Well, actually, I bought a Bluetooth rear view camera
Yep.
for the caravan, and the screen has a 12-volt power
Yep.
cigarette lighter thing, whatever you call
Yeah.
it. I don't even know what they call it these days. And I've just plugged that in, and I haven't even bothered to mount it, to be honest, yet. I've been thinking of like on a suction cup behind your MCU, the
Yep.
touchscreen. So it's just above and to the left of the touchscreen.
Yep.
So that's kind of convenient. I haven't bothered to route it all the way up to the roof, but you could certainly do that because all those panels are
Yeah.
removable, and you could sort of fish a cable sort of all the way around. But yeah, I haven't actually bothered to get a 12-volt feed. But like I said, I do know there is definitely one at the brake controller.
Yep.
So if you're going to
Yeah.
install a brake controller anyway, which
No, I've got a Bluetooth brake controller, but if the power's still there, I can use the power anyway.
but you can
But
use
it's
the
just
power.
yeah,
Yes.
but it's
So
just a matter of having to route it all through the
yes,
stuff.
yes,
Because
that's
I,
right.
like you, I don't want to mount something permanently stuck somewhere. But I've noticed that you got nice ones that are just as big as the rear vision. Can't see
Yes.
anything in the back, and so it'll be seamless, no cords, no dangling, nothing like that. Just a camera
Yeah,
in the rear vision
absolutely. So if you go to
or
Tesla
screen.
and buy, or go in Alibaba or whatever, and search for the Tesla brake controller
Yep.
loom, it's actually the same part number. I think the part number is actually to do with the Model X because it's all the
Okay.
same.
Yep.
But I think Tesla may have them, but they'll be online in any
Yep.
case.
So I can just plug that. It's actually a plug, so there's no
It's a
cutting
plug.
or so
You
you
can
can plug it in,
basically
and then I can just use the
solder
power
it.
off the tail.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yes, and off that tail you can then just
Yep.
do your figure 8 cable up to your
Yep.
screen, and you just got to sort of route it around and
Yeah.
poke through, and
Fun. Yep.
it shouldn't be too difficult.
Yep.
And like I said, that's located in the panel to where your right foot is on the driver's side.
Yep.
Oh, alrighty. Oh well, actually, James, why would you want to do that? Did you maybe get a caravan or something?
Yes, that's it behind me there, coming back.
Oh, it is too. Yes, very
Yeah,
good. I wonder if
Yes.
that could possibly be a penguin, if I could see
It definitely is a
correctly.
penguin. It definitely is a penguin.
Very good. Very good. And that looks
Got some
like,
aerodynamic work to do, so I'm on the front. 333 on the way back on a windy, rainy day. So
Yes.
I'd like to get it down to about 280 on a flat toe.
do you have
Is
the,
that
does it have
doable?
the front cabinet that like where the jack is and the gas
No,
bottle?
there's nothing there, so I'm going to manufacture that.
Okay, right. That's interesting.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Because the more modern one has a plastic or whatever it is, front, I guess, and it's kind
Yep.
of, it's a nice aerodynamic shape. That's not too bad.
Or a storage locker if you want.
Storage locker, that'll do. Yes, thank you, Steve. Yeah, absolutely.
Which is what mine has, so it's slightly aerodynamic, but it could still be better.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, about 300 is, well, yeah, it's not awful. But I mean, you've got a standard range Model Y, James,
Yep.
so yeah.
I got
Um,
home, it projected to me getting home from 142 kilometers from 90 to arrive at 3%.
right. But you charged up at the BP
Yeah,
Pulse.
yeah.
So you got home with 3% from BP.
No, we would have.
Oh,
We
yes,
got home
yes,
with. I got
yes.
home with 75%.
Yeah, yeah, cool.
Yeah,
Yeah, very good.
always be charging.
Absolutely. Yes, never go past a perfectly good charger.
Yeah,
That's always a good tactic, especially if you're inefficient with a caravan or something like that.
it's got a lot of dangling. So I've just put two photos in so you can see the front of mine. If you have a look,
So that's the side shot.
the other one's coming through now.
Yeah, cool. Let me just get the other one. Yeah, I mean, look, to be honest, that's not terrible. I noticed there's a water tank.
That's the
Oh no,
annex legs.
annex. Oh,
Annex
sorry,
legs.
annex.
Yep.
Yeah, so look, that's just it's not terrible. I mean,
Yep.
you could sort of be anal and try and, make this bit smoother, but it, look, it's not terrible.
Oh,
I
I've got
think
some
that,
plan. I've got an. I have access to a workshop, so I'm just going to try a big triangle shape, just mocked up out of some plywood, and take it for a run, see if it makes any difference before I do anything nice.
oh yeah, cool. And the good thing
Yeah.
is you can do those experiments pretty easily
Yeah,
as,
just
as
some
return.
one sheet of ply. Yep.
Yep, yep, yeah, fantastic.
So I'll take the roof rack off at the moment and take a few of the dangly bits that hang off the outside. On Sunday mornings, I'll take it for I've got a route. I'm going to run up to Neerup and back on the freeway. That's a 10K run there and back, and see what numbers I get, and then make a change, do something more.
Excellent, excellent.
So my other question around that: does anyone have a spare Tesla rim and wheel from a Model Y?
Well, yes, the club's got more than 6
All right.
skinny spares. I don't
No, I
know.
need a normal, somebody that's maybe changed wheels. Only because the stud pattern is the Ford stud pattern, which is the same PDC as the Tesla. The offset I've measured looks like it will fit without fouling anything. It'll be 30 mils slightly taller, and it'll stick out 20 mils a bit further, which I think is okay.
You
And
mean
that
the
would then, yeah, the caravan.
So so you want to use so you want to use the Tesla wheels on the
Yep.
caravan?
Yes.
Okay, I've got
Hmm.
20 21-inch performance tires.
No, I
which
just
is
want to. I can't be bothered taking one off my car because I want to just put
No,
it
no,
on
I've got
and go for
I've
it.
got them
Yeah.
off the
All right.
car. So
All right.
I've got a Performance Y, and
Yep.
I very wisely ripped those wheels off as soon as I
Yep.
possibly could and put aero wheels on. So I've got 4
All right.
performance
Yep.
wheels, but I don't know if that's the correct comparison. Well,
No,
it should.
I'll keep looking. If I have to, I've got 2 cars here. I can do something. But the whole point was, at the moment, it's short trips. But when we do our lap of Australia, it'll mean then we'll have spare Tesla wheels. So if we get a puncture, one wheel's the same. The wheel on the back of the caravan will do the car or the caravan.
Oh, that's very clever. That is very clever because you basically get a free spare
Yeah.
for the car.
And if you have a
And
catastrophic failure somewhere, you can park the van on the side of the road, put a
yes,
spare on, and go and get a new one.
yes. So in essence, your caravan it carries 3
Yeah.
spares.
Yeah.
Hmm. Right. That's oh, but I don't know if the weight rating is correct for the caravan because the caravan's actually much heavier per wheel than the Tesla.
Is
So I
it?
don't know. Yeah, because the caravan can weigh up to 1 point, say 6 tons,
Yeah, but the Penguin's one, it's likely to be a ton, isn't it?
850, 1100 tear or whatever.
Yeah, so that's 550 per wheel.
Oh wow, because
And
my Penguin is a lot more than that. Its tear is 1100-ish, and it's 8 or whatever ATM or whatever the total weight is about 1600, 1550 or
Sorry,
something.
I didn't know this was going to end up in a penguin measuring competition.
My Penguin's heavier. It's a fat penguin. It's more dense, but it's a lot younger.
Mine is just a macaroni penguin. You've got the emperor penguin.
Actually, mine's very dense because it's got nearly 300 kilos of batteries in it. Actually, we'll
yeah,
just
that'll
plug
add a difference.
Penny, you've got your hand up. Yeah, please ask away if you can. You're not muted, but we can't hear you. Okay, perhaps I might just lower your hand, and then if you come back to us, please raise it up again, or just shout out. Yeah, so because the tires on mine are, and I've got to buy a new one because a echidna flattened one of my tires. They're classed as light truck tires.
Yeah.
So I know the Tesla tires are one of the heavier rated ones because of its weight. So I guess that's the only technicality is, are those tires suitable to put on the caravan? Which at worst case, if it was 1600 on a single axle, is 800 kilos. If those tires can hold 800 kilos at a maximum. I don't know. But I do like your idea. Yeah. Have you measured the diameter of the tires to
It's
see if that's
a
Tesla?
it's a 60 mil difference, so a 30
Bigger
mil
or-
lift.
Yes, 30
but-
mil.
Yeah, 30 mil.
Well, in an emergency, especially on the back,
Yep.
because the back's not going to bind with steering and all that sort of stuff.
No.
So even if in emergency, if you had to juggle
Yeah.
the front to the back and then use a caravan one at the back,
Yeah.
if it gets you out of trouble,
The Tesla tire is a 104W, meaning it's got a weight rating of 900 kilos per tire.
oh, well, perfect.
That's the Povo Pack 200 mil
Yep.
one. Yep.
Yeah, cool. Fantastic. Well, that's certainly, oh, geez, now, oh, Penny, you got your hand up. Yes, go. Oh, we can't hear you. Penny, you might just need to check if your microphone on your PC or laptop or your device is muted, not just Zoom. Because unfortunately, we can't hear you.
Harold, can I interrupt and,
Yes, Peter, absolutely.
just say good night to everyone and good to meet you all, and we'll see you again.
Yeah, certainly hope so, and you're more than welcome, Peter. And yeah, love to see you back again from the future.
Well,
And
you'll see me in WA. We're driving across next September. So,
oh, fantastic!
yeah,
Cool, very good.
okay.
Well, the great news for you is by September, by next. Sorry, do you mean this coming September or next year?
2025.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah.
By then, there will be a ubiquity of fast DC chargers everywhere.
Yeah.
So you'll be doing it in a lap of luxury, absolutely. So
Yeah, not pioneering. Thanks very much. Good night, all.
no worries. Take care.
Now I drive.
Hello.
Check.
Yes. Oh, yes, Penny. Yes, go.
Oh, hooray.
Got you.
Right. Great discussion tonight, guys. I really appreciate all the technical stuff that I don't understand. Mine's a real newbie question.
Yes.
And it's to do with brake light. It's when I reverse, I can see on the screen that it's when I stop, the brake lights go on. Fine.
Yes.
When I'm traveling, say at, I don't know, 70k an hour, and I slow down to 60, at what speed do the brake lights come on? Is it as soon as I take my foot off the pedal, or at a certain speed?
No, it's not speed related, it's deceleration related. So if you take your foot off gently, you'll notice that, and the best, well, it's not really the best way, but you'll notice that the brake lights don't actually come on if you come to a gentle, if you slow down gently. But if you slow down more harshly, then once it gets beyond a certain threshold, the brake lights will come on to warn other drivers that you are slowing down in a significant way or a non-trivial way. So it's not speed related, it's just deceleration related. And of course, if you come to so all of the Model 3s and Ys, the new ones, have one pedal driving. So if you just take your foot off the accelerator, even if it's gentle deceleration and the brake light may not come on then, when you actually come to close to a stop and a stop, it will have the brake lights on, even though you're in drive without a foot on anything.
So if I'm stopped at the lights and I've slowly cruised to the lights, decelerated to the lights,
Yes.
the brake lights will be on.
Yes. And if you're in drive with your foot on nothing, but the car is stopped, the brake lights will be on the whole time. They stay on until you
That's because of the hold, isn't it?
Yes, it's hold on one pedal driving, which I think the very latest cars, you don't even have an option. It's just, that's all you get is the one pedal hold driving. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I
think
read
on the
that somewhere as well.
Yeah. So yeah, so you don't need to worry, Penny. Even if your foot's not, you don't need to sort of, once you've come to a pedalless stop, you don't need to then consciously put your foot on the brake or do anything like that. The brake lights will stay on indefinitely until you either put the car in park or you drive off.
I must admit, I do like the one pedal driving. I find it so easy. But I was just wondering what the other people behind me can see.
Oh yes, no, don't worry. And in fact, if you slam your brakes on really hard, the brake lights will then flash rapidly to be even more of a warning to people that you are braking really hard. So the good thing is that the car is intelligent enough to make sure it warns everyone appropriately of what either you or it is doing in response to what you've done, whether that's take your foot on or off the brake or on or off the accelerator. And yeah, like you, I definitely love the one pedal driving. There's nothing more satisfying than, I don't know, a couple of 100 meters before red lights, you just take your foot off the accelerator and you do nothing else, and the car just within a meter or two of the white line just comes to a perfect stop. It's an awesome thing.
A meter or two, come on, you're not even trying. You've got to get it stopped dead on the line,
Yeah,
every time.
That is true. And yeah, sometimes you're really convinced that you're going to go well past the line or well past the bumper of someone, and you're going, come on, car, and then magically it just sort of does it. But
talk to it nicely as you're approaching, and it slows down.
It's really good fun. It really is.
If not, it yells at you.
Yeah, true. Oh, and pro tip for
that's
anyone,
only if somebody's in front of you. If it's an open, if you're first in the line, then it's just like, oh.
Yes, yeah, exactly. And pro tip, I mean, it's only my personal opinion. I always have my cars set to early warning on forward collision. And even though that means sometimes it'll sort of give you a superfluous warning, even though you know you're perfectly fine, it's always a good policy, in my opinion, to be warned early of something just in case you missed it. Because you just don't want to be one of those cars that, if you don't have situational awareness, it just gets a bit awkward.
Thank you so much.
No worries. Well, actually, Penny, have you got any other questions or anything curious, any curiosities about your car or the way it works?
I put in the chat, I don't know if you saw. No, it was just a thank you to whoever sat in his Tesla last week, and we discussed how to move the sun visor, and I thought I'd figured it all out.
Yes, that was James actually. So James,
yeah,
big tip to James to work that out. Yeah. So hopefully that's worked perfectly, and now it's
It
one less
has.
impediment.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, the trials of being a short arse are many and varied.
I don't even let you say that, Penny. I'd never say that of you ever, but
I find the best trick that I get used on me is my wife's angry with me. She changes the driver profile to her driver profile while I'm in the seat. And just before I lose circulation of my legs, I have to say apologies to her.
oh
I'm
dear.
so editing this part before my wife sees it.
Isn't it lucky that you can't change profiles on your app while you're away from the car? Because that would be quite entertaining or awkward,
You
depending.
can change the radios, what's playing on the radio.
Yes, you can.
So when you're out with your friends driving along, your male friends rocking out, and suddenly your Taylor Swift playlist comes on.
Or Engelbert Humperdinck, or Penny, Freddie Fender, Nana Muscuri, perhaps. And you can also
Bay
toot the
City
horn.
Rollers.
Bay City Rollers, Bananarama. Anyway, and of course you
If
can
there's-
toot the horn. And
if they're stopped at traffic lights, you can open the boot for them.
And release the frunk.
No, you should
And you
not.
can make it fart.
Please don't do that, because unlike the boot, you cannot close
close it.
the frunk. Because it just sits on the first catch, on the safety catch.
But
So-
it will yell at you if you do that.
True. But
I
don't
think
do
it limits you. You can only drive at 30 kilometers an hour.
Oh, really? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Good to know. Good to know. But yeah,
No,
please
that's a
don't.
no. My wife says no when I did that. No, but the frunk, not the boot. Yeah.
Sorry, I just got to change the aircon here because it's getting a bit hot in here. Yes, but please don't do that at home, kids. Be good to your elderly parents, and don't be naughty and flash lights, toot horns, and other things while they're trying to drive safely.
Unless someone is stealing your car.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. In which case, yeah, knock yourself out. Open everything and ring the cops. Alrighty. Any other questions or comments? And no question is too silly. Mate, oh, it's going to be a long night, and we've still got 20 minutes.
Okay.
Yes, go Saxon.
I
Welcome back after last week's willing discussion.
Yeah, look, I'll use the term passionate. This is what I was going to talk about, actually. I was probably got a little bit passionate there just because I've been quite involved in Strata, and there's a lot of misinformation around in Strata, and it does frustrate me a little. And I think poor Carmen copped the brunt of that.
And just to butt in, and in fact, I dare say you and her jointly bore the brunt of each other's passion. And I was actually thinking about this, and I was going to do like a little piece just as an explainer. And my belief is you're both right. The problem is in Carmen's experience, she's dealing with probably quite a small strata building, which has owners that are probably doing things, and without wanting to accuse anyone of doing anything inappropriate, they are probably just doing whatever they want to do, probably not realizing that they just can't do that, and it's not legal and it's not right. And just because that's what you do, you just can't do it. I think Carmen's frustration was, I think she mentioned that, to make an application to the SAT, there's a 2-year waiting period. Now, maybe there's other ways to escalate.
I rang the SAT because
things.
I thought that sounded a little bit wrong.
Long. Yep.
4 to 5 weeks for the first directions hearing. So they've not got, and they're at a 98% closure on all cases within 12 months. And some of those cases go on for quite a long time because they're quite involved. The Strata ones tend to be, you only go in. I've been to SAT 3 or 4 times, I forget, and you usually only do 2 or 3 appointments. They're not usually very complicated.
Yeah, I mean, I
but
think her
yeah,
frustration was she's only this is only a short-term thing while she's building a, you know,
yeah,
another.
yeah. And I never really understood what the problem was. Like, I think I wasn't quite sure what they'd said to her, and I kind of left the call last week thinking, geez, I really wish I know what the actual
I think the problem was that
conversation was.
they weren't going to allow her to charge her car from her power in her shed that adjoins the car parking space. But I get
Yeah.
what you and I think it was James, in my opinion, or my personal what I would personally do is challenge them to stop me, but I would do a little bit of research and make sure that if I had an extension cord coming out of my cage to my adjacent car, I might do a few things so as to prevent anyone claiming it's a trip hazard or whatever.
Well, you can always hang it from the
hang
ceiling
it
as well, right?
exactly
If you're worried about
hang
a
it
trip
from
hazard.
above, yeah, hang it from say 7 foot above, and then have it sort of dangling, or you'd even almost get, I'm sure you can get like a retractable
I don't
extension
really
cord.
think. I mean, I suppose for me, I don't understand what the problem was. I'd really love to understand what the problem was, because I've got more than a decade experience with Strata and SAT and you know, working and also assisting other Strata companies. I've even been part of some a thing called Building Blocks, which was trying to get solar power into apartment complexes as well. So I've been quite actively involved. And look, you know, the first thing I'd be thinking of in Carmen's situation is that PowerPoint that's in her storage on the common property circuit, or is it on her circuit? Now, if that's directly adjacent to her property, then it's probably quite likely it's on her circuit. If it's not, and sometimes these storerooms are like floors under or whatever, it's really unlikely that power is hers, and it's actually unlikely to have common power in an area that's for probably what they'd call common property for exclusive use, which is what a storeroom would be. But they may have put PowerPoints in there for some reason. It may be common, and the issue there may be that they don't want her using the power. So that's a completely different issue. I'd love to know more, because I'd love to kind of understand what the challenge is. But I really don't see putting an extension lead on the floor a big issue if it's not a walkway.
Yes, exactly.
And if I could just butt in there, like 100% agree. And you're dealing with people, you're not dealing with Strata. You're dealing with a group of people, and they don't understand, and they'll often come to you with those. And it's in the thing that says you have to treat this common areas as a workplace, because people work there. And I've heard it myself. They say, oh, well, you can't run a cable on the floor, because in the workplace, the cable has to be strung up on these things. However, they don't know what they're talking about, because yes, if I'm taking it 40 feet across a building site, it can't be on the ground. However, if I'm operating a circular saw plugged into, it can be on the ground there. So it's like you're saying, it can't be on the floor where people can be traffic overrunning or things like that.
I mean, if that was a problem, you know, you go to any of the internal parking bays that have got EV chargers, that wouldn't be permitted. Like Karen Up, I think, is a great example, because they've literally just got them on the wall, and you know, they're on the floor. So
that's what I'm saying. People conflate those two things. That no, I can't have 400 meters of cable on the floor. It's got to be strung up. However, where I'm using the device, my saw, my planer, my whatever it is, that's fine. So your car is the device you're using, but as long as it's not, as you need to make your best effort to make sure.
Well, there's big differences, between permanent fixtures and non-permanent fixtures as well. But yeah, I'd love to know more, because I'd love to sort of understand what the issue is. And I was thinking, I went away and I thought about some of this stuff, and I also thought about that issue you had. You were talking about, sorry, Harold, where you were saying that person wanted to pay for a PowerPoint to go on what would be common property.
That was
so the challenge, and I'm not trying to be negative, but the challenge I see there would be that you can't have anything on common property and have an owner maintain it. It's just doesn't work that way. Like, it has to be maintained by the Strata company. The only way around that is a bylaw. Now, and I have got templated bylaws from OCN, which is the Owners Corporation Network. They're mainly New South Wales, so a lot of their stuff's very New South Wales oriented, but they have actually written bylaws or had a lawyer write bylaws up that are specifically addressing that and allowing an owner to pay for and commission their own charging infrastructure on common property. And that bylaw then allows for them to be held accountable for repairs and maintenance, and also the removal in the case of misuse. So there's that avenue. Like you can go down the bylaw avenue. So there is.
And your challenge, I remember from last week, and this is a very serious issue, is what do you do when on existing properties that car charging was never ever contemplated, and they've got, they just don't have buried conduits. You can't just run fresh power. Well, you can, but the cost is stupendous, because sometimes the actual front feed is just not big enough, and you just don't have the power at that site to potentially simultaneously charge dozens of EVs. And that's a real problem on a retrofit situation. And there are many technical ways around that. I mean, I was involved in a place, in a unit, a large complex in Applecross, where I think from memory they had purchased 2 lots of 500 amps per phase, 3-phase, and that's a lot of energy, a lot of power, should I say. But when they the original consultant didn't really know much about car charging, and they'd basically allocated, I think it was 50 outlets, but they were only allocated 15 amps single phase, even though the building got an extra 1,000 amps per phase.
Yeah.
But the way they divided it, because they were ignorant of what could be done, and of course, that because it was configured that way, the switchboard was built that way. That's what the owners are getting: 15 amps outlet from a proper EVSE, which is appalling. Whereas you can absolutely.
Well, I mean, 15 amps is 15 amps, right?
Well, yeah, but I mean, they've bought 1,000 amps per phase to the building. With much less than 1,000 amps per phase, you can have a shared bus network with power sharing that basically does power equaling to all of the active charges, so that on average, the thing is, most people, they only do 38 Ks a day on average, 15,000 Ks a year. So it'll only take, at 11 kilowatts, it'll take a bit over half an hour to refill a car on a daily basis. So if you've got 10 cars, that'll take 5 hours to do 10 cars sequentially. If you sort of connect them all up together, as long as you give them 1/10 of that power, again, all of those cars collectively will recharge over 5 hours. So there's lots of technical solutions. I think a challenge that the government ought to address is it worthwhile to develop some sort of fund whereby old buildings can apply for some funding to retrofit or augment their power supply situation? And even if that means having to do surface conduits or cable trays and a new or upgraded feed to the building, or a secondary feed, and some more advanced equipment to do load monitoring. So, part of the building management system.
I think these things are going to get, they're going to get more important as time goes on, because the EVs are going to be penetrating more into the market. But I think it's, if you look at the next 5 years with the prices of EVs pushing down, what you're going to find is a lot of these buildings where people, I guess the disposable income of the people living in the buildings at the moment, you kind of are on the higher side if you're living in a unit, if you're owning a Tesla. But I think that will change, and that's going to put, one of the buildings I'm looking after, and I don't do Strata or anything. I just own a unit in that building. He's got 54 units, and I think we've got 120 by 3 coming into the building, and these are like built in the 70s, so they're not using a huge amount of power. But we have a limitation. We don't allow electric hot water systems at the moment, because if everyone went and put them in, we're already having to allow for air conditioners, and so if we did hot water system and air conditioners, we'd be having problems.
So did you say 120 amps per phase by 3, and you got 54 buildings?
54 units.
That's only 1,600 watts per unit.
Yeah. So you're relying on the fact that everyone's not running their hairdryers at the same time. So
wow.
So
that's astoundingly tight. That's Wow. No wonder you
Well, it
don't
wasn't
allow
in the
hot water
70s.
services.
You know, I mean,
Yeah.
everyone had smaller fridges. The stoves were all gas.
No aircon.
Hot water systems are all gas. No air conditioning units. So you'd be lucky to be pulling even 1/10 of that. So
Wow.
but
That's
yeah.
that's a bad site. That's difficult because
Yeah,
that's
so look, the idea for us to put like a charger in for each residence is overwhelmingly expensive. But I think what we're going to do is we're going to just nominate 2 of the spare bays and just make them EV charger bays. And I'm probably just going to run a string of power, 1 circuit, and just allow that to be a higher rating, and then fuse each charger and then link them up together so they can share that
well,
power.
as a matter of fact, the Tesla wall connector, I'm pretty sure it can share amongst 4 heads.
Yeah, that's what we're looking at. They're actually a
So-
really, really economical solution,
Yeah.
the Tesla ones.
$800, including GST.
Yeah,
So-
and if we can get Tesla to put us on the billing platform, then that'd be even better, because then,
You need to have 4s. Oh, is it 6?
I think it's 6.
well, at the moment you do.
Yeah,
I haven't
true.
even been able to get them to contact me back, to be honest. So we'll see
Well,
how
problem
that
is
goes.
there's not many.
No.
Well, actually, send me an email, Saxon.
Okay.
Send me an email, please.
I can
Second-
install 6 and just
Secretary.
put 4 where they can't be used, just to get the 2 working.
Yeah, true. I did find out that actually it's very economical, and Tesla make almost no money out of it, which is a real
I mean,
problem.
I'd be happy if they took 20%, because it just
No,
takes away so many problems. You know what I mean? Like it's just
Absolutely.
a really good solution.
Send me an email, secretary at, or better still, I'll just put in my.
While you're doing that, it's important to say, like, the work that people like Saxon are doing is super important, because we're only at 7% new cars. So it's not that important yet, but we can't keep sweeping under. The work you do with your Strata management companies opens their eyes, because remember, the Strata council of owners are just people who don't really, there's no training. They don't know what they're doing, but however, the Strata management companies learn from them, and then suddenly your Strata company go, no, it is possible. This guy did it at our place. And suddenly, it's like anything. When people know, they know. They go, oh, this is what we do. It didn't cost us thousands. It was
Yeah.
all we needed. Yeah.
One other thing that might be worth noting is, the Strata Titles Act was updated just recently. So it's the 2020 revision, I think. One of the changes they made was previously the Strata company was not empowered to make changes that weren't considered maintenance. They weren't empowered to make enhancements, if you like, without special resolution. So that's changed now, and so you are actually allowed to do work. And I think there's a limit of like $500 per lot. If it's under that, you don't need any sort of special resolution to do the work. But when it comes to sustainability projects, there's no limit. So there is, they have done all of that for things like solar panels and for
Pumps,
there's
maybe,
EV charging is not specifically mentioned in any of the commentary, but I think you could probably argue that is a sustainability measure. But there is previously that would have all had to have gone to a special resolution, but that's not the case anymore. So there are some kind of nice changes in there for those sorts of projects.
Well, if you face it, we've been marinated in petrol and diesel supply, which is literally ubiquitous. But 100 years ago or 120 years ago, it was non-existent. And it's just that time has elapsed and it's all become fully established. But there was a painful time when there was nothing. But there were also no petrol cars either. So I think, James, to your point, at the moment, it's kind of okay, because if you're the only person with an EV in a Strata complex and you just can't get charging, well, you'll just, go to a DC charger or go to a shopping centre or whatever. But when in, let's say, 10 years' time, practically everyone has an EV, the electricity grid will have to be transformed, buildings will have to be transformed, new ones will be fine because that'll be designed in. But there will be this overhang of this transition period, which will be quite painful, because let's face it, you're going to take all of these petrol tanker and diesel tankers off the road and instead be replacing them with augmented copper and aluminium cable through the suburbs, so that rather than going to a central location to refill with volatile liquids, you'll be recharging at the place you live, and it'll have to be everywhere, and it'll have to cooperate with the grid and cooperate with the duck curve and all that sort of stuff, and you know it'll have to be done within the next 10 years.
Yeah, I mean,
Harold,
we're kind of
can I
looking
just
at.
jump in? Sorry, Saxon, very quickly. Harold, I've sent you an email to Secretary dealing with a similar matter. I just wanted to get that out there.
Ah, cool. Let me just check that I've got
Yeah, not for
that.
discussion
Yeah,
tonight.
no, totally cool. Totally cool. Yeah, no worries. Excellent. Got it. Cool.
Harold, you
Very
just
good.
sent me your phone number, not Saxon.
Oh, sorry, I meant to send it to everyone because it's not secret in the room. Sorry about that.
Or send the TOCWA help desk number.
Yeah, but you can't send text to it. So a help desk,
True,
if anyone's
true.
got if anyone wants to verbally discuss something or needs any help, no matter what the situation, if you're in the middle of nowhere and a charger doesn't work or whatever, just call 62623131. Or if you're in the room, just ring my mobile, which is in the chat. But yeah, Saxon, give me a call and I'll try and do something about the destination charges, because I do, before the supercharger team was dismantled abruptly, it is definitely something they do, and it was either 4 or 6 was the threshold, but that might be up for discussion. But I do know, unfortunately, that Tesla really didn't make any money out of it, so for them it was a bit of a pain point. But for example, I know at the Esplanade Hotel
In
actually,
Fremantle.
in Fremantle,
Yeah, I've
there are
been stung
only
by that charger.
yes, and I got stung. Yes, and I got stung too. Before the app, now the app will tell you as soon as you start charging, you get a notification that says, "FYI, you are going to be charged 35 cents a unit." I think it was,
Yeah.
whatever. But there was a period when you weren't told, and you only found out at the end of the charging session. And then I went, "Oh bugger, I won't go back there again because, you know, I'll charge for free at home."
Yeah.
But
The parking's
but
killer as well.
what?
The parking fees.
Yeah, true. But that location's great. But if they've got a minimum of 4 or 6 charges, there are only 2 that I've ever seen. But I've not stayed in the hotel, so maybe there are some in the parking at the back or
Yeah.
something. I'm not sure. But yeah, give me a
There's
buzz.
two. There's 2 more charges in the undercover parking across the road, Harold,
So
and the
just
2 out front. There's 4 all up.
So it's 4 all up. So maybe that is the threshold. Even though I do agree, James, I think I heard 6. But if the precedent is that there are 4 at the Esplanade, then hopefully Tesla would follow through and accept 4. But I think I agree with you, Saxon. If Tesla took a 20% clip, who cares? Because it's not really the cost per kilowatt hour that's the issue. It's the accessibility. It's the ability to charging on premises.
Yeah. And I think most people would be happy to pay that surplus.
Yeah.
That extra rather, or tariff, just to have the convenience rather than having to drive
somewhere. Yeah.
And on that note, I know it's not exciting stuff, but Ampol in their stuff is promoting we can be your charging solution in your home or workplace. So there will be solutions coming that companies, and in the UK they've done it as well, where hey, we're losing money out on petrol, but we'll come and cover the upfront costs because we'll claw it back over time. It means you're paying a third party to charge in your own house, but once again, if it gets people installing things and takes off upfront costs.
Bearing in mind that in my experience, at $800, and that's just pure buy one, hand delivered to your door, including GST, that is still outstanding value for a Type 2 charger of any brand. I really don't think, except for something you might buy on Alibaba online, none of the other mainstream providers sell a 22 kilowatt capable EVSE for anything like $800, as low as $800. So
And the tech is very Tesla as well. You know, it's got an ultraviolet sensor inside it. So if there's an arc, the actual circuit can detect that.
of course it does.
Yeah. So it's
the
full of
fun-
sensors. It's quite an amazing piece of equipment.
Yeah, and the great thing is it just plugs in to the wiring to the back. So the wiring's in the back, and you just plug the whole unit in.
Yeah. So if you have a fault,
You can just rip out the
I
unit.
don't even know if you'd need an electrician for that. You probably do technically, but you can literally just take it off the wall and put another one in the seat in the bracket.
I don't think you need an electrician because there's no the actual let's call it the socket, so to speak, is finger safe. So it's no different to a general purpose outlet in that sense, and you can just bolt it.
Yeah, it is kind of hardwired
wiring.
in terms of the screws, though, isn't it? Although it's not hardwired in terms of electrical termination.
No,
It's
no,
just got spades.
Yes, that's exactly correct. Yes, it's just got spades, which look unfeasibly small for the current that goes through them, but it's been well designed.
Yeah. I think Carmen's joined.
Carmen, welcome back.
Good
She
evening.
might have. I did say, Carmen, apologies. I did get a little bit passionate last week about the Strata stuff because I do get a little bit frustrated with the misinformation side of that. But I was just saying that to the guys before and girls. I'd like to know more about the issue you're having because I might be able to offer some advice just around SAT stuff and.
So Carmen,
Well, I could talk to you at length.
So Carmen,
basically,
what was the main issue?
Oh, there's lots of issues. The main issue is that they're in breach of the Act and in breach of the law, and they don't care.
But I mean, but what I mean is with the charging practicality. So you've got a power.
Oh, no, I haven't. No, that's not happened yet. I haven't brought that up. I'm bringing it up at a meeting officially for them to start thinking about it because it's not urgent. I won't be moving until early 25.
But if we try and, without broadening it too far to just the general problems with strata companies and they're a pain and all that sort of stuff, if we look at the charging aspect, so in your shed or cage, whatever it is, so you've got a power point in there.
Yes.
And do you believe that power point is being fed from your meter box? So from your meter? So it's your power?
Oh, yes.
Right, okay. So it's definitely the same power that you're paying for. If you use it, you're getting charged for that power from your meter in your shed.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Yes.
So
and I've made sure that the lead can go under the door, but I haven't actually. I've got major issues, and in fact, we've had to go to a lawyer.
That's to do with other stuff with the Strata, I presume. That's not EV related.
No, it's not yet.
Okay. Yeah, no, cool. Okay, so
I'm just
Maybe,
worried.
yeah, no, that's cool. So maybe we should just. This is not the best forum to discuss, even though it's not anything, but
I get that.
But certainly in general terms, and so with your shed, is it a cage or is it a shed that's enclosed? Like
No, it's a shed with a door, and I've made sure that a lead can go underneath.
Yep.
And I did want to check one thing. It's just a standard PowerPoint, and I haven't wanted to ask them about all of that yet because of the issues we're having in other areas, and they're quite serious. But you would use a normal power cord or the cord that comes with the charger, but I've also got a 15 amp cord, but you couldn't use that on a normal PowerPoint, could you?
No. So because on a extension cord, 15 amp extension cord, the earth pin is taller.
Yes.
I guess for lack of a better, it's not thicker, but it's taller.
Yes.
So it won't plug in. You can't plug a 15 amp cord into a 10 amp
one of those
outlet,
caravan
but you can do
things.
the reverse. But yes, no. But it's accidents the reverse. So
No, but you can get those equipment for where it goes down to 10. It's got a little breaker in it, so you could do that.
Yes, but you don't need to because I think Carmen was just.
Oh, sorry, I'm going the other way.
Yeah, you're going the other way.
Yeah,
And
sorry.
and by the way, for anyone that does go to Bunnings and buy one of these 10 amp to 15 amp adapters, uh, it's so annoying because what they then think is you can plug this adapter into a 10 amp outlet and then plug the 15 amp tail of your UMC, your mobile connector, into the car and somehow magically pull 15 amps. The irony is it actually works for quite a while because the circuit breaker is a C-curve circuit breaker and it will provide 50% overload for quite a while before it pops. So it's really frustrating. It's not actually an adapter of any kind. It's just a physical thing that it gets misused and shouldn't be done. But Carmen, you can just buy yourself a heavy duty extension cord and you just get the shortest one that fits. So
Yes.
whether that's 2 meters, 3 meters,
Yep.
whatever,
Yep.
just get a heavy duty one that's still 10 amps.
Yes.
And the other thing too is if you've got any concerns or if the building people have any concerns of overloading that circuit, although actually, to be honest, in Australia, you are entitled to pull 10 amps from a 10 amp outlet forever. That's what they're designed for.
Okay.
But you could always also dial down your car to say 8 amps if that's what you wanted to do.
Okay.
But
Yes, and I've done that before.
yeah,
No, look, I'm just trying to make a decision whether because of all the other issues, I haven't wanted to bring it up. And if it was not going to work easily by the standard method, then I may either sell the apartment or look for somewhere else to live
okay, so
when the time
notwithstanding
comes.
that you might have, it sounds like you're having not personal issues, but human issues with the humans in the Strata company or the
Yes,
Strata
yes,
arrangement or whatever.
yes,
And I guess technically humans can do anything, whether that's right or wrong or whether it's correctable or whatever. I mean, often you can have a Pyrrhic victory by going to SAT and arguing the toss and engaging lawyers. But if in the end, if it takes 12 months or 18 months and in the meantime you've been in misery, then sometimes,
yes.
unless
Yeah.
you really want to make a point and just prove something, well, whatever. Sometimes it's just
No,
easier
not really.
to.
I've got better things to do.
Exactly, that's right. Life's too short.
Yeah.
But certainly on the charging point of view, it would be very difficult for them to mount. And I think this was mentioned last week. As long as you know that what you're doing is intrinsically safe and can't reasonably be criticized externally, like by a court or by anyone reasonable,
Yes.
then I think a very good piece of advice is you just do it and you kind of dare them to stop you. And, then the shoe is on the other foot and they would have to then find a reason to take you to court to stop you from doing something that you're doing that is
Yes.
reasonable. And they would probably, I dare say, fall short of doing that. And I mean, if humans did something stupid like try and cut the cable or doing something outlandish like that, well, then it just makes it bad for that person doing it. So,
Yes.
but yeah, but obviously, ask us anything
Yeah.
we
So
can't.
it would work. It would work. I just want to make sure that before I mention it and create another issue, that it was going to be viable.
Do
And
check.
it appears as though it would be because
Yes, but do
100
check.
kilometers a day would work for me.
But do try and check that it actually is going through your meter. Now, I don't know, do you have one of the spinny round meters? Is it one of the old fashioned or is it a digital meter?
No, it's a sub-meter, so I haven't seen them.
Right. So how do you know that you're paying for what gets consumed in the shed?
Well, they're very clever about charging, and the charges are huge. I would
Yeah,
imagine
you'd have to
that
try and make
every
sure.
shed.
Yeah, maybe what you could do is approach them and just ask a general question, and you could couch it in something. For example, you could say, "Well, what if I put a chest freezer or something in my shed and used power? Do I get charged for that power?"
Yes.
And then if
Except
they
that
say,
I asked them if the building had provision for three-phase, and they said, "What's that?"
No, that's okay. No, that's okay. But definitely ask them to confirm that if you put something like a chest freezer in your shed, that you would be charged the power, or would the power be charged to the entire building?
Yes.
So depending on what the answer comes back, if the answer comes back, no, definitely Carmen, you are being charged for that power because it's been drawn through your submeter, then they have very little legs to stand on as far as trying to stop you from charging your car from that power point. But if it's the general power in the car park area, that all of those sheds are all fed with the same circuit or whatever, and there's no way for them to work out how much you have used, then that's a lot trickier, because then they may rightly say, well, it's unfair for you to consume, say, 2.5, say 25 kilowatt hours. So that's 25 by 30 cents. That's up to, say, $8 of benefit potentially per day. They may say, oh, that's a bit unreasonable because everyone else is subsidizing your vehicle use. So that's a bit harder. So I would concentrate on doing a general inquiry.
Yes.
How is the power that I draw in that shed for something like, say, a chest freezer or something that might draw power?
Yep.
Is that being billed to my submeter?
Yes.
And then, whatever that answer is, that will inform you of what is possible or probable.
I can do that.
The other thing you could try is if you turn off the mains to your apartment or townhouse or whatever it is, and then see if that power point still works. That will tell you if it's being fed from your apartment. It's unlikely they'd run 2 feeds from the meter.
Right.
So that will tell you. Is it adjacent to your living area at all? That storage
No,
room?
it's the garage is an underground garage, and each parking lot or each unit has a shed behind it. So you won't even see it. You don't almost not see the cord. I suppose one side, it's on my left side, so one side will see it. So I just back into it, and it's only about half a meter to the power
Yeah, I
point.
don't think the cord's an issue, because we were talking about this before, and as long as it's not a permanent fixture, I don't think there's any, and it's not it's designated walkway. I don't think there's any reason why you can't have a cord on the ground, like no legal reason anyway, unless there's some specific bylaw in place to
No, there
stop
isn't.
that.
There isn't. There isn't.
My
anyone
concern
with-
is that if the way they're laid out, I would be surprised if that PowerPoint was not on the common services, because it's probably been put there just for cleaning, plugging in a vacuum cleaner or something, and it's probably on common. So this is speculation, but I'd speculate that's probably on the common services circuit, and therefore it would be billed back to the common services. But it does bring up a really good question, as Harold said, like, what if someone's got a fridge in there or a chest freezer, right? They're billing that to the common services. So it's an interesting thing to have a PowerPoint in a exclusive use area that is on a common circuit. But it may be on yours, but I think the easiest way to work that out is probably to turn your power off.
I haven't seen anybody else's. If everybody has a PowerPoint, then I suppose it's up to them whether they use it. But it was just whether it was going to be viable and how much power I was going to get out of a normal one. And I wondered whether you could do anything to the PowerPoint to create more charge.
No, because that's very much, the PowerPoint will come off a circuit breaker, whether it's 1-to-1 or whether it's several outlets to a 16 amp or a 20 amp breaker. Bearing in mind, the circuit breakers aren't there to protect the PowerPoint. They're to protect the cable running to the PowerPoint.
Yeah.
So
look, it'll work for me on a daily basis, and then on the weekend I can go to Simon's. He's got one at home, and charge it fully for the week, and then just keep topping it up. So that should work.
Now, if you had a strata arrangement, or the owners were friendly or cooperative, even though it's maybe on a common circuit, one viable solution is and it's not perfect, is to fit a submeter to the PowerPoint.
Yes.
So you could say, well, if it's we're on a common feed, a reasonable person could offer to have a sub-meter fitted before the power point in the shed, and then there'd be an arrangement that someone official, or maybe it's self-read, reads that meter on a periodic basis. Now, because the power being used isn't a lot, rather than reading it monthly, you might agree to read it quarterly or biannually or annually.
Yes,
or
sure.
something. And you could even
And
offer
all of
to,
that is fine. I wouldn't have a problem with any of that.
yeah. So that's another potential solution if it's found that all of the garages are all on common power. You just say, well, for $500, I can have a what's the name grade sub meter installed, and I mean it'd be a single phase meter, so it'd be a bit cheaper, and then read on a periodic basis. You could even offer to prepay for power so that
Yes.
they owe you more than you owing them, sort of thing.
Yeah, all of that would be
There's another
fine.
way to cooperate, yeah.
But you
And this is
couldn't have an 11 kilowatt charger like I have now at home.
no,
in
no,
there. No.
not if it's just a single outlet. That would
It's a single
require
outlet.
further wiring, which may or may not be possible. But then the problem is, in underground car parks, they don't always have spare holes in concrete beams so you can run extra conduit. You can't just run extra cables sort of willy-nilly because you've got height clearances for things like four-wheel drives, and you can't.
It's not a bad one because it's not very deep, the garage, and I notice half of the garage is a commercial unit and the other half is residential, so it's only 18 apartments. And I have seen the commercial side of it with lots of electrical power all over the place for whatever. I don't know exactly what it is, but they've done lots of work there, and there seems to be some sort of big board in the garage.
Yep.
So I think doing something wouldn't be outrageous, but yeah, because of the situation I'm having at the moment.
Yeah, well, it's human factors. Yeah,
I really don't want to add any extra to it, extra issues. And the council of owners are all senior citizens who don't even use computers, so it is just impossible. And there's no office bearers. They pass it all to the strata manager. So and the strata manager doesn't want to know anything, so it creates a problem.
Unfortunately, that's just the human factors that come in.
For a giggle, I've just put in my temporary charging solution that's being used at one of my strata places.
Yeah.
So where have you? Oh, there's your 15 amp extension cord.
Nope, 10 amp extension cord going back to the my property for the tenant to use, and that's a $20 waterproof container from Bunnings with a Type 1 charger in it.
It's gold. I was going to say, though, off at 10 amp, you still get about 30 kilowatt hours overnight on a 12-hour window, so it's still quite substantial.
It is actually, yes. Yep, it absolutely is.
But that's because that's a 20-meter cord bought from Bunnings, and it reaches perfectly. That's the full length of the cord, so it's doing what its job is.
Excellent. And is that coming from your own house?
Yeah, it's coming from our own house.
Okay.
The back, they've got an outside plug that for fairy lights and stuff like that.
Oh, excellent.
But it runs through the neighbour's property with permission.
Yes.
And it's held carefully on the fence and hidden behind fairy lights.
We won't mention if it crosses.
Well, that's good. Mine won't be permanent. Yeah, I'm only looking at it while I'm building, so it's not forever. But yes, at this stage, I'm doubting that I'll hold the apartment for much longer, so I may make alternate arrangements.
Yes, and yes, Harold, it's only there because if you notice, it's against an asbestos fence. So I've asked to put a proper conduit in, but unfortunately, I can't do that until the asbestos fence is moved. So this is what we're doing temporarily until I can safely put a cable run.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it's very
It looks
ingenious.
innovative.
Yeah. But it's like it looks good.
Yeah.
And yeah,
Yeah.
I've played the game. It said like I'd love to do it,
Yeah.
but I can't because I can't work around. I can't have people work around the asbestos. That'll disturb asbestos. However,
Yeah.
when you replace the asbestos fence, I will put a conduit in.
Yes.
Absolutely. Alrighty,
Excellent.
well, time flies when you're having fun, and sometimes it goes even faster when you're not. But we've got less than 10 minutes to go.
So
So,
what's
I've
happened
got a
to the
question, Harold.
shares?
yes, go.
Just a Highland question. Anyone with
Yes.
FSD on a Highland, is Summon Auto Park, all that traffic light control working on a Highland yet without the ultrasonic sensors?
I don't know because I don't have a Highland with FSD. Has anyone got a Highland with FSD yet? No, sorry, Damo, we don't know.
No, it's all good, Harold. I'll
Um,
suss it.
I think, to be honest, I think, um, oh, I was going to say because it's hardware 4, I think that has full functionality as far as our basic autopilot and Australian FSD, which of course is really just enhanced autopilot with a few extra features.
Yeah,
So I'm
yeah.
pretty sure that will work exactly the same, whether it's the Highland, which has hardware 4, or the pre-Highland, which is hardware 3. So to be honest, Damo, I think there won't be an issue as far as that goes. And I
Yeah,
do
sweet.
know that hardware 4 in America for true FSD is actually running in emulation mode as hardware 3. So the hardware 4 computer is running hardware 3 software in emulation mode.
Yeah, sweet. So it should be all good.
It should be all good, Damo. So when are you getting your car?
Tuesday morning, 10 o'clock. I've been trying actually not to think about it.
Oh, well, how many sleeps does that, Damo?
Another 5, is it?
5. It depends on whether you slept last night, mate. You could just have a
No,
swim
I've
through.
slept in a few nights.
With FSD, do you still get the 48 hours to back out your purchase like you do with some of the other software upgrades?
I think it's 48 hours.
Yeah, so
I'm
you
not-
could always try it, Damo. And
Yeah,
then
I'm not-
if it doesn't work, hand it back.
Mine's
No, he
getting
can't.
rolled over from my old car.
He's
Ah,
transferring.
right.
Yeah, he's transferring FSD, which is a very good
What
deal.
color is it, Damo?
Ultra red Highland Performance.
Oh.
Of course it
Yeah.
was the performance, Damo.
I wouldn't get anything else.
Very true. In fact,
Yeah,
I'm currently
mate.
driving around in a non-performance Model Y. It's a car on loan to the Variety Club, and they're going to be doing a mini lap of Australia in the upcoming weeks.
That'd
And
be cool.
I must admit, I do miss driving my performance car because it's just that little bit extra.
Yep.
Alrighty.
And how
So
do you
who?
feel about driving the Y compared to the standard, the Californian cars?
Oh no, the Ys are all the Ys are from Shanghai. The Ys,
Yeah,
the threes are
that's
different.
what I mean. Yeah. How
Oh
does
yeah,
it compare?
I mean, look, there's no doubt that the Shanghai built cars, the build quality, the fit and the finish is just excellent. It's just so much better than the Model 3s that came from, say, Fremont
Yes.
in California. Yeah,
Yep.
it's, I dare say American cars have had a pretty poor reputation for fit and finish. And to be honest, Tesla was no exception. But the Shanghai cars are exceptional. They really,
They don't
really
look
are.
the same though. You can pick the Ys from a Californian 3 anywhere. They're
Oh, yeah,
higher
but the Ys are high. Yes, that's right. But
and they're a bit chunkier and they're not as
yes,
sleek.
yes. But I think the Highland, the Juniper Model Y, the refreshed Model Y that'll be coming out probably early-ish next year, it'll have a similar look it'll be a meaner look like the Highland 3, but it will always be taller. So it'll
Okay.
always look like it's a 3 that's been squashed up and made sort of elongated taller,
Mm.
which makes it a little bit out of proportion, just like the Model X is out of proportion compared to the Model S.
Well,
which
I've
is-
measured myself against the Y, and it comes to the end to my head,
Yep.
the top of the roof, whereas on mine it only comes to the shoulder.
Yes, and some of that is the car, the actual car rides higher, the floor
Yes.
is higher, but another big part is the actual roof, that the height of the car from the bottom of the battery to the top of the roof is also
Yeah.
taller. And when you sit in it, they are Model 3 seats in the Model Y, but they're lifted up on rails probably
Okay.
about 200 millimeters or 150 millimeters. So that it gives great leg room for backseat passengers because they can sort of like tuck their feet under the seat,
Yeah.
whereas in a
I
Model
think
3,
what about the belt for a short person like me? In my car, it sort of cuts me around the
yeah.
neck,
So
whereas on the Y, is it better?
no, I think it might be slightly worse, but Richard Cooper
Yes,
has
he's
3D
told
printed.
me.
Yes,
Yeah.
yep, that's
Yeah.
it. That's
I've
it.
got
Yes.
it.
Yep,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And it
I mean,
works, yeah.
personally, I love the Y.
Yes.
Because it's, and I'm, middle-aged or actually beyond middle-aged. I'm in my mid-50s, so I find it just so much more comfortable getting in and out of a Y
Yes.
compared to a
Yes,
3.
it's the headroom is good.
And the
Even
headroom's
when
great.
I put my hair up, I knock my head on the ceiling.
Yes, yeah. So Model Y is great. I mean, look,
Yeah.
in my humble opinion, if Tesla just axed the 3 and just said you're all just going to buy a Y and be happy, I reckon 90% of people would be happy
Yeah.
with just the one model.
Model
And,
Y is a great car.
it is a great car, absolutely. We've got less than 3 minutes before we hit hard up against the Twitter/X time limit to upload the video. So we should really. Is there any short last minute questions or comments before we round out?
I just
No.
pasted the price, the share price. It's looking at about 8% down overnight.
Awesome. I'm trying to transfer my super fund into Tesla shares, but I haven't done it yet.
Oh,
So
really?
I'm hoping for lower prices so I get a good entry. But anyway, that's
I-
a
Be nice if it,
personal.
be nice if it dipped
regrettably
under
sold some.
200.
Oh, below 200. Oh, yeah, please don't get me excited there, Saxon. Alrighty, we're gonna have to round out this show. I'd normally ask Pete, and I'm pretty sure Pete's not here. No, he's not. So I'd normally ask Pete how to round out this show, and he would say, as always, stay safe, stay sustainable, and stay ahead of the curve. To which I would then retort that the best way to do that is buy a Tesla, join Tokwa, and ask us anything about accelerating the world's transition to sustainable energy. On that note, have a wonderful week, everyone, and we really look forward to seeing you on next week's episode of Tokwa's Ask Us Anything. Good night, everyone.
Fabulous. Good night.
All right.
Thank you.